Woe to you, O earth and sea.
It's the Hop Nation
USA Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. This is the Hop Nation USA Podcast. I am your host, Adam. I am back. I am excited. The weather is finally starting to change. We're finally starting to get some beers that are a little more, appropriate for the weather that we're going to be having. This is a very special episode. This is the start of a series that we're going to get into. But first, we need to introduce who we have on the show. And of course, we need to have Steve on the show. Steve, welcome.
Hello. I'm here. Still here. Always here.
You're stuck in the computer. You haven't gotten out yet.
If for anybody who's watched the YouTube videos I have put up, yes, you know that I have transcended into the computer.
You are a cybernetic head, but you are well on your way to not being a cybernetic head. Eventually, we'll be able to get back together and yell at each other face to face.
Yeah, if Max Headroom was a booze bag.
And if you don't have that on a t-shirt by the end of the month, I will be disappointed.
Man, I need to get back to making t-shirts. It's been a while, but I still got the good ones. Go check out TeePublic.
Excellent. Excellent. So we actually have a new style of show that we're doing this time. It is spring of 2021, which means people are going to start getting a little bit of the travel itch. And since it's no longer 2020, the year of the devil, people are actually kind of able to maybe sort of do a little bit of traveling this year. Everybody's starting to get shut up. Everybody is starting to get back to a semblance of normalcy. So we thought it'd be a good idea to maybe talk a little bit about places that are outside of Steve's and I's wheelhouse, that being Pittsburgh, of where we could go to drink beer that isn't in our living room or in our basement as we cry the depression away. So we are taking a trip south to beautiful Wilmington, North Carolina. So we have a couple of experts, a couple of residents here that know what the hell they're talking about when it comes to Wilmington beer. And our first guest is a beer aficionado. He is also a dear friend of mine, Greg Kern. Greg, welcome to the show.
Hey, how y'all doing?
We're doing well. I'm happy you're here. This has been too long. We've been planning this for quite some time for you to come on the show, and I'm glad you're finally able to make it on.
It's all good. Glad I could help.
I
expect that payment check at any time now too for this.
Well, if it went any longer, it would have been 2 checks because I had to build up the account before I'd have been able to pay you the full amount. But Greg is quite the beer aficionado. He's also a friend of mine from way back in the day, and it's nice to be able to talk beer, Pittsburgh beer, and talk Wilmington beer. It's nice to see how the different arenas are working in the beer world right now. So Greg will be one of our guides as we go to Wilmington and drink our depression from 2020 away. So also we have a very special guest. We have Jon Dispenza. He is one of the hosts from the Untappd podcast. They are currently in season 4 of their podcast. Jon, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm little. We'll show you how the sausage is made. I'm actually here because Greg and I are Untappd friends, and he reached out to me there and asked if I'd like to be on your show, and the answer was hell yes. So awesome. Thanks for having me.
Happy to have you. It's nice to have people that talk beer, know beer, that are not in our beer circle. It's nice to see how the other sausage is made, I guess you could say.
Ew, what?
Deal with it, Steve. Just deal with it.
Ew.
Well, while you're being disgusted, we could talk about the first sausage that we're going to be talking about. And
we're talking about sausage. We're talking about beer. I'm taking the reins. I'm tired of this sausage talk.
All right. Steve is tired of the sausage fest, so he's going to talk beer instead.
That's right.
So, Steve, why don't you talk about the beer that we have for this segment?
Yes.
And why we have it.
So as we mentioned, as Adam already mentioned, we're drinking from the Wilmington, North Carolina area, but specifically all 3 beers tonight are coming from the Wilmington Brewing Company. And Adam also alluded to the fact that we're in spring, so we're getting some fresh, tasty jams coming out. And tonight, we're going to start off with a series from Wilmington that is called like a tropical. It is their West Coast style IPA. And yeah, it's brewed with mango, pineapple, and guava. Comes in at 6.7 ABV. So, yeah, everybody has theirs poured up, I'm assuming. And here's some dope photos if you're on the YouTube to look at.
As well, you should be. So,
Yes.
John, I was curious, did you have this beer in front of you by chance? Or did you have a separate beer?
Well, yeah, you guys live in Pittsburgh, so you got a much better connection for the Wilmington beer than I do, living right here in Wilmington. That's not going to work. I'm not drinking tropical from Wilmington right now. I'm excited as hell about that beer. It looks beautiful. Even the pictures that are on your podcast on YouTube are gorgeous. So tonight I'm drinking from Flying Machine. They came from above. They're another local Wilmington brewery. And this was a can that was in my fridge, which makes it perfect for drinking tonight.
Excellent.
A little info, I guess I should probably provide. Amarillo Cascade hops in a 6%, kind of West Coast flavored IPA, not quite as hazy as some of the beers I see in Wilmington so often.
Right on. Do you by chance, are you able to hold that up to the camera? Show the beautiful people?
Yeah.
Excellent.
As I put it in front of the camera, okay, it looks chunky. Or there's some opaqueness to it. So never mind everything I said about a smooth, clear West Coast beer. The hops are everywhere in Wilmington.
Yeah,
I'll admit that's kind of gross. I've had one or two offerings from Flying Machine, courtesy to a certain connection that may or may not be on this show right now. And they do make some good stuff. I'm looking forward to having some of them again. But let's get back to this Wilmington Brewing, the Tropical. I will give a little full disclosure here. I'm going to have a tough time liking these beers.
Hell yeah.
And the reason behind that is I am not an IPA guy. So when we had the opportunity to have this tropical series, this is part of their, I believe it's their Tropical Lightning series. Is that correct, Greg?
It was a promotion they did a couple weeks ago called Tropical Lightning Week. They did one full release each day of the week, Monday through Friday. And the Tropical, if I'm not mistaken, was their Wednesday release.
Excellent. Nothing says Wednesday like a punch you in the mouth IPA.
Yeah.
No, Adam, these are kids IPAs, man. You're gonna love this thing. It's like it's packed full of vitamins and nutrients.
I call shenanigans. No, I will admit, I have to drag out an old standby here, but for the style, this is a good beer. I appreciate what they're doing with it. Unfortunately, I am not the audience for it. This is the kind of beer that I would recommend to somebody that's a West Coast drinker, but I am not that person. But I am happy to have something new from a brewery that is not Pittsburgh. I love our Pittsburgh breweries, but it's nice to branch out a little bit.
And speaking of the audience for this beer, hey, everybody, what's up? Yeah, I like this beer a lot. As Adam said, it is well made. It is clean drinking for sure, but it has that big bitter punch that I can assume Adam is not enjoying.
No, not at all.
Yeah, but I don't care.
I don't think any of us really do.
Yeah. My only two kind of pullbacks on this is it says it's a West Coast, but it's not very clear at all. That's always kind of like a thing that sticks with me. If you're going to call it a West Coast, I really love to have good clarity. Otherwise, this just kind of reminds me of every other IPA that was made in the East Coast before things got real soft baby kisses with the New England style. So yeah, I mean, it's still very flavorful. And then I'm not getting a whole lot of the exact fruit. I'm just getting a lot more hop on it, which I actually enjoy more. So yeah.
So you're saying that they failed successfully?
Yes, they failed successfully. They said there is like, it says mango and pineapple. I don't get a whole lot of any of that, but I just get a lot of hop flavor, which I enjoy because it's a lot more classic and it's already clean drinking. So yeah. Yeah.
And that's one of the nice things about taking a look at clarity and stuff like that. In all reality, that doesn't matter. That's getting down into minutia.
Unless it's being judged at a competition, then it's important.
Yeah, well, fortunately, we're just a bunch of guys drinking beer, talking into a microphone, so we don't have to assign points, so we don't have to care.
I will.
Greg, what are your thoughts on this beer? This is from your local stomping grounds. You gotta pump it up a little bit after Steve stomped it down with saying it was not as clear as it should be.
It's obviously very terrible.
How terrible is it?
Terrible enough to wear the shirt while I'm drinking it.
If that's not loyalty, I don't know what is.
Good. This is the. That's right. Now, out of all their tropical series, this is the only one I had not had until tonight, and I'm enjoying this one a lot. It's good. There's nothing more I can say about it. It is nowhere near as clear as it should be, but it's definitely not a cloudy beer by any stretch either. So, I mean, it's tasty. You get some fruit in there. I like it. I'll drink it again.
All right. Yeah, I agree. This looks nothing like a New England IPA. You're not going to confuse the two. But if Steve's looking for that clarity, well, all right, Steve's already kind of solved it. If you're watching on YouTube, he just puts a backlight on it, and it'll be perfectly fine. Just bring your backlight into the bar with you, put it behind the beer, and you'll be fine. No one will be any the wiser.
I don't know. That backlight is pretty good at showing what kind of haze is in a beer.
I'll be honest. I just want to encourage somebody to bring a backlight into the bar.
Well, yeah. Hey, set up tiny studio like I do.
Perfect.
Also good for a camp light.
Yeah.
So I did have a question. Greg, seeing as you are not only drinking the beer, but repping the merch as well, I was taking a look at the Wilmington Brewing Company and I actually spied a little bit on Google Maps, and I have a mission for you. I need to find out why they have a brewing company El Camino. They have
why wouldn't you have a brewing company El Camino? name me one Pittsburgh brewery, and you got 3 times as many breweries as we have. Name me one that has an El Camino.
None yet.
Hitchhiker does have a dope truck, though.
They do. I think that's an old Renault or an old Peugeot, some old French bread van.
Yeah.
But I'm curious as to what the story is behind that El Camino, because I did some looking around on Google Maps to see what the hubbub was, and I saw that they had not just an El Camino, but a fully branded car. You know, it had the full wrap on the side and everything. And I thought that was absolutely genius. I mean, that would be an absolutely perfect delivery vehicle.
You should see their school bus.
Okay, so they have 2 perfect delivery vehicles. And damn it. So it sounds like Pittsburgh is behind the times. And I want to know where that El Camino came from. I want some follow-up. I need follow-up on that.
I will try to get you answers on that.
Excellent. Man, I need to know.
How about we suggest Abjuration get a Dodge Rampage with their
Yes. Well, with Abjuration, they're a very small brewery, so they don't have a very small car.
Right. And Dodge Rampage is pretty damn small.
See, I was thinking you get like one of those, remember the old Red Bull Mini Coopers?
Ugh.
Where you just tear the giant Red Bull can off the back. That way you have a little delivery spot behind the front seats. So it's still a mini truck.
See, honestly, that would be better for Brew Gentlemen because Brew Gentlemen have the Red Bull size cans. So you just rewrap it with General Braddock branding.
See, I thought with that, they just deliver it by horse.
Sure, they can do that too. That's the second. That's the second vehicle.
Or John Fetterman. John Fetterman could just take 6 packs underneath his arms and
Sure.
just strongman them around the neighborhood. Because he's our lieutenant governor and he can also beat up the Iron Sheik.
Yeah.
But enough about
Qualified.
Pittsburgh and El Caminos. It's time to talk about podcasting a little bit. So John is the host of one of the world acclaimed podcasts out there, the Drinking Socially podcast, currently in its 4th season. I believe episode 9 is the next one coming out, if I'm not mistaken.
You're on it, man. It would have taken me a second to double check.
We do research on this show, just enough to make it sound like we know what we're talking about.
Yes.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about the podcast, how it got started, what was the origin of it, how did it come to be, how did you come to start the show, things like that. What is the origin story?
So its origin story begins, like so many things, with 2 guys that don't work hard enough, and they had a job in tech. It was actually the co-founder of Untappd and someone that we brought on to help with coding and development and nerd stuff. And they worked at Untappd, so beer was like this common thread. They had beautiful voices, and they decided in their free time they would start up an Untappd podcast. There wasn't really a whole lot of direction behind it, but it was, in my opinion, a great idea because I like podcasting. And they spent a year just kind of talking through Untappd updates. What does this badge mean? And after that first year, for whatever reason, the creator came to me and said, "John, I don't want to do this anymore." And he knew that I hosted like a garage podcast that was horrible. It was basically me just talking about how you could get hand jobs at clothing stores if you tried hard enough.
What's the name of this podcast again?
So I don't know if he knew what the podcast was, but he said, "John, I heard you have a podcast and I'd like you to take over the Untappd podcast and kind of run with it." So this probably isn't a beautiful story, but I spoke with a friend of mine. He used to actually brew it in Neshaminy Creek, and he had just started working with us at Untappd. And I said, "Look, you want to take over this podcast? It's just like maybe 1 or 2 nights of your spare time for the rest of your life, but we get to drink beer sometimes and wear fun hats." It was an easy sell. And so him and I took it over. And now that it's season 4, like the seasons are arbitrary. I don't know what they really mean other than every January we change the number. So this season 4, this was like the first season where Harrison, my co-host, and I actually sat down and said, "Look, like, let's try and make this season mean something." So after a few beers and not anything getting done, we said, "Wow, Untappd has badges. That's pretty prolific. So let's just make every episode about a badge on Untappd." I don't know if I answered your question, but hopefully some of that makes sense as to kind of where it started initially is like, hey, I have an idea, and then filtered through a few more ideas and eventually turned itself into 4 iterations of somebody's idea. Yep, there we go. Said idea 5 times.
Adam, by the way, the name of that podcast was HJ Max.
Writing that down. Thank you very much.
Are you part of our 10 for 1 club? You punch your card. You'll be fine.
I don't want to touch that card at the 10th punch. So when you said that with the 4th season that you're concentrating a lot on the badges and things like that, obviously it's a beer podcast. You're going to be drinking beer on the show. Whenever you choose the subject matter, do you try to match a beer that goes along with that? Because I know in the past you've done badges such as Sky's the Limit and the newbie badge and things like that. Do you try to match up the beers with the show, and how do you arrive at which beers you want to drink?
Yeah, honestly, man, when we did season 3, we didn't really have a theme for the podcast, and it was kind of like, hey, I have a cool beer, let's talk about it on Wednesday. And that was perfect. But now that each episode is about a badge, that's really changed and kind of helped us. Like when we did Skies to the Limit, that's a badge on Untappd you can earn by drinking a beer above a certain ABV threshold. So at least it was like a guideline to go into my closet and pull out one of those barley wines or whatever that I've been sitting on and pull it out and drink it, because we try to make sure that the beer matches the badge we're talking about. Very recently, I think coming out like, I don't know, in a day or two, we did one featuring the badge I'll Be Bach. Fun to make Arnold Schwarzenegger jokes. And we had to drink a Bach beer, which I don't know if you guys grocery shop or bottle shop, but it was really hard to find anything but like Einger's Double Bach, or we were too early. That was a stupid mistake on our part. We should have waited until May and drank some Maibachs instead of like scouring the grocery aisles to find a beer that would qualify for that badge.
If it's not Trogs Troganator, that's kind of hard to come by.
Dude, Troganator's that's my barometer for the style. I immediately went to the grocery store looking for it. It had been like 4 years since I'd gone to a grocery store looking for Troganator, and they're like, "We don't do that anymore. It'll be here later." I was heartbroken. I still bought sausage, but it was fine.
Now I want to go back and try some Troganator again. You're right. It's been too long.
I think they have a triple Bach coming out as well.
Really?
Troganator, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I got at least one Saturday night lined up now. In the future. Oh. I'm sorry. I was just enjoying the beer that I was drinking. Turns out that's not too shabby.
Yeah, it's just like moving to Wilmington. It sucks when you get here. Kind of smells like cat piss or hops, but then after a few beers, it's a good city. So.
Is that on the welcome sign?
It's a pamphlet they give you. Yeah.
Wilmington, you'll get used to it.
Have spray paint will travel.
Presented by El Bardo.
Yes, just to jump back real quick, it's called the Triple Nader. So it will be released in 2021, March 25th.
Oh, that's right around the corner.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where, if you're not writing that down at home.
Well, so yeah, there you go. Here's your info.
Yeah. So
Adam, if that doesn't get distributed down here, I'll be letting you know to look out for it.
Oh, it won't. This is a brewery only release. So you got to be at the Trogs Brewery at 11 a.m. on March 25th. Yep.
Oh, shit.
So if you show up at 11:05, you are SOL.
Yes.
So we had talked about badges a bit. So if you are listening to the show and you don't know what Untappd is, I don't know that I should have to take the time to explain it to you. But obviously, it is an app that people use to track the beer, rate their beer, how much they like it, how much they don't like it, and you are able to unlock badges for quantities, different types of beer, styles, ABV levels, IBU levels, things like that. So we have all used that app. But I wanted to ask, what is the furthest you have gone or have seen somebody go to unlock a badge?
Oh,
Jon, I will
man.
start with you.
Okay. Damn, on the spot, my brain turns to pudding. Me personally, the one that I remember most is Hop Slam comes out. It used to be obviously a big deal for anybody that's drank beer for a while. Probably not you, Adam, because you're not the crowd for Hop Slam.
No,
but
no, I am not.
For a while, Hop Slam was like, it was like heady topper. It had all this lore, and you would wait in line and you'd hope you got it. And they would buy a special badge on Untappd where you would get the Hop Slam badge just for checking into that beer. It was like a free badge you could earn when this beer came out. But back in the day, now you can get a badge on Untappd pretty much for checking into anything at a burger bar, at a brewery, drinking a Maibach in May. It's not hard to get a badge. But years ago, I remember driving it was like 2 hours west of where I live when the Hop Slam trucks were going to get released a day early. So we got there early, we staked it out. beer makes people travel. But, we got there and I bought the Hop Slam, and I remember like I was saving up. It was going to be like my 1,000th check-in, so I would get a special badge for that as well. And then after we bought it from a bottle shop, we kind of muled it into a burger bar, because you would also get a badge for checking in at a burger place. So I checked into a Hop Slam that I illegally brought into a burger bar and planned my 1,000th check-in. So I would get like 4 badges all at the same time. In hindsight, that was probably childish, but I felt like a champion when I did that. So take it for what it's worth, but don't illegally bring beer into places you're not supposed to.
Well, I'm just glad you didn't take it into a Chuck E. Cheese, because that would have been way worse.
I'd probably be managing it by now. But
Greg, how about you? What's your horror story for going just far enough?
You don't remember the story about me losing a kidney on my way to China because I was trying to get? No, I'm kidding. No, I've never really gone that far out of my way for a badge. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've been a loyal Untappd user for almost 10 years now, and I'll look on their special badges all the time to see what's out there. And if it's something I can get my hands on relatively easy, I will. Other than that, I don't really go out of my way to get it. Now, if I know I'm approaching a level 100 on a badge, I will try to incorporate that with maybe other badges at the same time, like John said. I believe it was when I hit my level 100 on the New Brew Thursday, I worked that into, I think it was like 3 level 100s and like a 79 at the same time.
Holy shit.
So I was trying to work that in together, and and that was back in like June or July, so it would take me a while to find that check-in, but I was trying to incorporate that to get as many as I could at one shot.
Damn, that's impressive.
Don't try that hard, but you drank a new beer on a Thursday for like 5 years to max that out. That's
dedication, and that's dedication. My liver is screaming.
Don't worry, they make new ones every day.
I know, right?
They can 3D print those.
I gotta get on a list somewhere.
Steve, how about you? Do you have any horror stories from that? From the Untappd days?
I wouldn't call them horror stories. It's just, we're talking about going as far as you go. I think when I was still really, into Untappd, the farthest I would go is just like going into like Chinese restaurants or Thai restaurants and ordering, Sing Tao or I believe it's Tiger.
Yep.
Just to get those, country badges to fill those up.
I've been there myself.
Also, I'm just kind of actually looking through my old badges right now, and I have like a couple for North Carolina Beer Week and Beer Month.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, back for when they offered them for, I don't know if they still offer them, but, during their beer month, they would, if you drank North Carolina beers, you'd get badges for that. So I got a couple.
So I guess I should say mine as well. When my 1000th beer was coming up, I took about a week and a half off so that I could check it in at a very specific place. There was a beer and wine walk happening at my old Boy Scout camp. Shout out to Custalouga Town. And I waited until 999, and then I stopped and then waited about a week and a half so that I could check in my 1000th beer at my old Boy Scout camp during a sanctioned event. I figured that was the only time that I could justify drinking a beer at a Boy Scout camp and not getting in trouble, and being able to tell everybody and nobody would care. So that is my story of going just a little bit too far.
Is there a correlation to earning badges in the Boy Scouts and then just being like the ultimate grown-up Boy Scout with that check-in? I want to make a cartoon about it.
That is not the first time I've heard that correlation happen, I'll admit.
Just looking to earn them badges. Still not as bad as drinking Sing Tao, but
no one drinks Sing Tao for the flavor.
That's right. You drink it for the badge.
It's the only thing on your menu that isn't water or coffee, and this is a spicy peanut pad thai. I can't have coffee.
That and Lucky Buddha. Lucky Buddha sucks too.
They only sell because of their bottle, I swear.
Yeah,
But
it's just because of the bottle. It's just, I didn't even keep that bottle either. That's just dumb of me.
Means you have to drink it again.
No
Or
thanks.
go rummaging through the dumpster.
No, I'm good.
Oh, okay. All right,
I'm good.
fair enough. So, speaking of good, we should talk a little bit about this Wilmington Brewing Company, the Tropical. What'd you guys think? Greg, this is the first time you've had this one, so I'll let you have the lead. Now you were able to get into it a little bit. What did you think?
It's terrible. I need another
Oh
one.
no, it's gone.
Oh yeah, it's kicked. No, I enjoyed that one a lot, but I mean that it falls right in line with what they do. I mean, anybody that's been to Wilmington Brewing Company, drinks their beers, it falls right in line with everything that they're doing. They do everything they touch is good. Very few misses. It's just good, solid, drinkable beer. I mean, I don't know if I would sit there and call it crushable at 6.7, but to drink 2 or 3, yeah, cool. Beyond that,
All right.
yeah, I'm gonna reach for something lighter.
So not crushable, but squeezable, maybe.
Yeah, for a little bit.
All right. Steve, what did you think of the Tropical?
Yeah, this is a great beer, especially transitioning into the warmer months. And, kind of exactly what Greg was saying, like it's really flavorful. It goes down easy. I also wouldn't, I don't know, I might say it is kind of crushable, but that's me. I can definitely tell though, like once you get 2 in, you're just going to blow your palate the hell out. So you can still just keep putting these down because otherwise they're very clean drinking. So yeah, it's a pretty great beer. I like it.
Right on. And John, unfortunately, you're not able to chime in. However, the offering from Flying Machine, what did you think?
Yeah. For what it's worth, Tropical Lightning is like is Wilmington beer, and Tropical is really exciting. I'm gonna be looking for it this weekend. But they came from above by Flying Machine. The haze, like what I love about this beer is that they're boasting about dry hopping with Cascade, which I think is like it's a hop that reminds me of like when beer was real, or before there was so many hops that you could really get playful with them. Anytime I see a C hop, I get kind of excited, and it comes through. It's still dry hopped, delicious, hazy, but it's instead of like tropical dry hop, it's tropical dank, like your fruit salad with some leftover college herbs or something, which is I'm almost done. This was really good.
Right on. So it sounds like round 1 goes to Wilmington, to nobody's surprise.
Yeah. Adam, do you have any final thoughts?
So what I can avoid it.
Style.
For the style, yes, absolutely, Greg. I understand what they're doing with this beer, and they are absolutely correct in what they're doing with this beer. Unfortunately, I'm in a different arena. So, like I said earlier, this is the type of beer I would recommend to somebody that likes this type of beer, but I wouldn't drink it. I would look for something else on their menu, which I can and I have.
Yeah.
So, it's a good beer, but not a good beer for me.
Right. Well, as we've trained our audience, and if we're reaching anybody new with this episode, if I like an IPA and Adam hates it, then it's probably a pretty damn good IPA. And I have backup this week because of Greg. So,
so you're going 3 for 3.
Be of some assistance.
yes. So yeah, Tropical is a win. So yeah, check it out when you can get it.
Yep. And you can get that during the break, because we're going to take a break right now. We're going to pay some bills, get a fresh beer lined up. So Greg, John, hope you don't run away. You'll be back for the next segment, because this is your segment where we get to take a grand tour of Wilmington. We can shake off the winter blues and see where we can drink some beers in Wilmington. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. We're about ready to take our grand tour. We're ready to get out of Pittsburgh. As much as we love it, it might be time for us to spread our wings a little bit, get shut up, get out of the house a little bit, open the windows, let some fresh air in. It's gonna be
Vaccine. Head on down to the OBX.
go home with a tractor on the day. Steve, that one was for you.
I know. Yes, I appreciate
But
it.
yes, we are starting to get out of the Pittsburgh area a little bit, and we're starting our world tour in beautiful Wilmington, North Carolina, right on the ocean, where everybody needs to be in 2021, unless there's traffic problems, at which point space yourself out a little bit. So with that in mind, we're highlighting the Wilmington Brewing Company. We have some beers. You heard the first one. It's time to talk about the second one. Steve, would you like to talk about the second one again?
Sure, I can do that.
Okay. What are we drinking?
Again, continuing with the Wilmington Brewing Company and part of their Tropical Lightning Week, we now have the Hazy Tropical, which is a New England style IPA, coming in at 7.4 alcohols by volume.
Is that what that stands for?
Yes.
Oh, all right.
Yes. Well, it's not by weight. Looking at it, this beer, it hits every mark that they called. I was a little critical last segment about the clarity on the West Coast, but this one is completely opaque. It is, it's full on hazy juice. It's all there. They did it. On the nose, I get straight up Citra. But on the, actually tasting it, I get more than that. But I can't pinpoint what the hop is. And then I went to Untappd, and they have not filled out the information. They've only said it's their flagship.
Well, it's a take on their flagship.
Well, yeah. So, John, you're going to have to, put a little note into them to add more information. But
get in there, rattle some sabers, tell them what's for.
Yeah. Otherwise,
taking your El Camino if you don't tell us that the hops.
We're commandeering the Elko.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would say it's a little more bitter and flavorful than I'm used to with hazy IPAs. I find most of them to be very soft and bland. This one has a little bit more extra kick to it, and I enjoy that. And also, it's 7%, and I also enjoy that. So, yeah.
I have nothing to add on that, unfortunately for me, because you said it all. This is a little bit more up my alley than what we have with the Tropical. Although we're still playing in that arena that I don't like to play in, but I am more than willing to give it a fair shake. I am, if nothing but academic when it comes to these beers. I will be open-minded. Damn it. So, Greg, I understand you have had this beer before. So what's your take on this?
I've had this a bunch of times now. I had it on draft, had it in cans. I like it a lot. I'm a huge fan of the flagship Tropical Lightning. It's one of those beers that, I only buy 2 or 3 times a year, but I always buy at least a 4-pack every time, sometimes 8. And that's just kind of locks me in for the weekend. Absolutely love everything that they're doing. This is fantastic. I really wish they would add it to their constant lineup. I think it's just magical.
So what I'm hearing is you and John need to go in there as a united front and start knocking down doors and start making changes.
Get more info out.
Changes. We need this on constant tap and draft. If you need backup, you just let me know. I'll come down and help.
I'm sure between both of us, we have some people on the inside.
Here, have a beer first. Damn. Yeah. Okay. Well, there goes all of my rebellion.
You win this round.
Pretty sure there's some pull between the two of them.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, but and they're only using it for good. That's the thing. They're using it for good.
Fair enough.
And speaking of good, John, I assume you have another good beer lined up. What are you drinking this segment?
So, as the late joiner and forever disappointer, I brought a different beer to the show tonight. I'm drinking it out of a Flying Machine glass, but this one's made by who I think is one of the best brewers in Wilmington, if not Eastern United States, New Anthem Brewery. And if you've heard of them, you're doing good. They don't make beers for you, Adam. They're, in my opinion, one of the best New England IPA makers I've ever had. Maybe it's because I get to drink them like 2 days old. That's freshness is a really cool ingredient there. But aside from my rambling, this is a stout from them called Hillbilly Prophet. Aaron and the team at New Anthem seem to name all of their beers after random song lyrics. He's a huge Taylor Swift fan. I don't know where this one comes from, but it was aged in Willet barrels, the beer was. And I mean, I talk about hops and malt and some brewing technique, but this is like drinking whiskey. This is freaking delicious. It's 10%. It's meant to be drank in a leather chair, wearing a slightly untucked robe and watching like stock tickers on a TV that you have to pay attention to. It's just everything angsty and manliness that a beer can be. Is that a fair review?
Yes. Yes. And I can neither confirm nor deny that I've actually had that beer before. Mysteries. But I will say that if I did or did not have that beer, I did sit back and yell out with a British accent, "Now see here," at least twice, because that was what it felt like when you were or were not drinking this beer.
You can just say you had it. You don't have to. The fuck? The fuck is this mystery dance around game?
Trying to have a little fun, Steve.
If you have some camaraderie and can back up John in his review, and you're screaming at your non-existent butler, then please do.
And tell me your non-existent butler's name, please. I hope it's not Jeeves.
No, Templeton.
Nice.
Oh, that's marvelous. It's marvelous.
Another
top off on the Hillbilly Prophet, Templeton, please.
And be snappy about it.
See, he gets it.
Don't you dare edit that out.
Nope, that's in there. All right. Well, I don't know how we're going to segue out of that one. So I think we're just going to make a hard break. I think that's the only way we could do it now. But
tell us about Wilmington. Go.
But yes, this segment we are dedicating to the beer drinking world that of Wilmington, North Carolina. Where to go, what to drink, things like that. So one of the questions that I had asked, we actually were smart on this show. We actually sent out an agenda beforehand, but we wanted to talk about the Great Wilmington Beer Tour, which is a name that we made up. But we wanted to talk about it. What are the major breweries there that a newcomer should check out? What are the ones that you recommend? Things like that. If you had to choose, I'll say 3, but if you go more than 3, that's okay. Which breweries would you recommend if you had to go there? Greg, I'll start with you. Where are you gonna go? Where are you drinking at?
Well, I couldn't come down with just 3 because obviously we're not in that 60 brewery range like you guys are up there in Pittsburgh. But if you look at the greater Wilmington area, within like a 45 minute drive, you're talking 20 right now, and that's not counting 2 of the big ones from the Asheville, Charlotte area that are putting facilities in. One is already open, one's about to open. So that would take it to 22. But then we also got like 4 other ones that are in the works right now that are getting close and are scheduled for either this year, maybe early next year. So for being a town, probably a quarter the size of Pittsburgh, we're doing pretty good per capita like you guys are up there. But when you're looking at the different breweries that are kind of must-sees, I broke it down into 2 areas. One is like, the whole, what they excel in and what they do very, very well. And I was trying to avoid ones that I knew would already be brought up on this show, such as Wilmington, because we're talking about them, kind of highlighting for the whole episode. And John's already mentioned both Flying Machine and New Anthem, which are 2 fantastic breweries to begin with. So I was trying to avoid those 3 of the big, most popular ones, and looking at what they excel and they're smaller. The 3 that I would recommend would be Mad Mole, Flytrap, and Sour Barn.
Oh, all right. I've had some stuff from Mad Mole, and I agree. They make some really good stuff. I'm a big fan. I would drink more of it. I probably will.
For the rest of us who don't know about Mad Mole, what's kind of their deal? I kind of figured out what Sour Bar is about, by the name, but what's kind of a Mad Mole specialty?
I know. I think Greg's locked up again.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
There we are.
All right. So Mad Mole is seems to be IPA heavy right now, but everything that they do is very, very good in my opinion. Flytrap, it's a lot of Belgian inspired and a lot of saisons, and it's absolutely fantastic. It's just everything that they package is glass bottles, so it makes it a little more difficult to mule to different places. And then and Sour Barn, which is an offshoot of another local brewery called Broomtail. I mean, obviously in their name you can kind of get an idea of where their specialties lie, and it's just fantastic taste. I mean, and I'm not a huge sour guy, but when I'm in the mood for a sour, that's where I'm going, and I'm there for the afternoon. It's just that simple.
Right on.
And then the other side of it is like when you're looking at atmosphere out of breweries in Wilmington, the three that came to mind right off the bat was Ironclad, Good Hops, and Edward Teach. And the reason those come to mind is Ironclad is an amazing space venue. Weddings, business outings, whatever. I can't even describe it. Go to their website, Ironclad, and look and see what they do. Their space is beautiful. You can't beat it. It's one of the best brewery spaces I've ever seen, and I've been to breweries all over the East Coast. Good Hops, they have an amazing outdoor patio, a beer garden, a disc golf course.
Ooh.
Oh, and even with Ironclad, I forgot to mention that they actually own a golf course that serves their beers on the golf course, which is really wild.
Shit.
And then the last one, and Adam, it'd be right up your alley, the Edward Teach. They have a whole nautical theme. They have like a pirate ship bar inside their facility. I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, just the spaces are amazing. It was an old fire station that was revamped. So those are the ones that I came up with.
So it's pirate themed and it's in an old fire station. That's checking too many boxes right there.
Right on. Right on.
Was Edward Teach, was that Blackbeard's real name?
You got it.
Yes.
One of the rumors says that.
Fair. I'm a big time rumor guy.
Check that box.
So John, if you had to be a beer guide in Wilmington, where would you go? Where would you take people to enjoy the quaffs of the city?
I wouldn't follow Greg because I think he laid that out marvelously. Mad Mole's kind of a way off the beaten path. They're like super scientific, brilliant. They're, I think, the only solar powered brewery in Wilmington, which is really cool. Like usually I think of Colorado for innovation like that. Sour Barn and Broomtail. That was the first brewery I ever brewed with in Wilmington. Those guys are amazing, and their outdoor space is beautiful. But coming back, okay, so John's beer tour is going to be much more kind of McDonald's. Well, no, not McDonald's, but like I'm going to send you to New Anthem. If you're a craft beer drinker today, you've already had New England IPAs shoved down your throat. And if you haven't been to Treehouse, go to New Anthem. I promise you'll get a similar beer experience. Literally, those guys are amazing. They've got one of the only perfect beers rated on Beer Advocate. Their Untappd brewery rating is above 4. Their godliness, if you like that New England style IPA. Couldn't say enough good about their beer. Brand new shop next to a pizza place, cool place to go hang out. The second place I would send you to is going to be Flying Machine, because I remember when they were building that in Wilmington. I mean, this is as Greg alluded to, it's a small town, right? Like most people, your mom loves us because Dawson's Creek was filmed here, and it's a quaint little town full of New Jersey people that don't know how to drive. And then Flying Machine opens up this beautiful mecca of a brewery, and it looks like it should be something in a much larger city. And they finally get their feet underneath them. They've got a brewer that used to brew down in South Carolina, Edmonds Oast. They've got roots in North Carolina. Their tap room is gorgeous. You can go there early in the day and work and get coffee. But the reason I would send you to Flying Machine is because not only do they make a New England IPA and a really heavily fruited sour offering and some sick pastry stouts, but that's where you're going to go find like a Pilsner, and an alt beer and a Bach, and they do like this weird Czech pour called a Maliko that's like basically a taster, but they fill the whole glass up with foam. I've never seen anything like it. So it's a really cool experience that I've only seen in Wilmington.
So they have the side handle pour.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Steve, you nailed it. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I've seen it. I've never had, but I've seen it.
I explained it to my wife when she saw it, and I was like, yeah, you are paying a lot of money for foam, but you're not going to get that chance to do it unless you're at a frat party and somebody pumped a keg too much. So experience it, enjoy it, check it off your list. And if I had a third brewery that I would recommend, it would be Wilmington Brewing Company. When I first got to Wilmington, it was about 6 or 7 years ago, and there was like 2 breweries here, and it was kind of sad, but it was still a small town, whatever. And Wilmington Brew Co. was started by this husband and wife couple that used to have a homebrew shop and like a homebrew club. And then they eventually opened Wilmington Brewery, and Tropical Lightning became this like Wilmington based IPA that was bitter and delicious. But the reason I love Wilmington even more is, one, they have an El Camino, but 2, so many of the brewers in this area, like they kind of learned from Jon and Michelle and that early homebrew club. Like Greg mentioned Flytrap, probably the best Belgian brewery we have in the city. And they probably wouldn't exist if Jon and Michelle didn't have that homebrew club so many years ago. So I think that place is amazing. And if you're coming to Wilmington, you should visit because their beer is really good and you can take a picture with the El Camino.
So Wilmington Brew Co. is pretty much the cornerstone of the beer scene in Wilmington. That's where a lot of other breweries bloomed from, I guess you could say.
If I'm not mistaken, Wilmington Brewing Company was the second brewery in town. So when I first moved here, there was only the one brewery, which was Front Street. And then Wilmington, I believe, was the second one. And then it just kind of snowballed from there in the last probably 6 years. That sound about right, Jon?
Yep. It was like 1 minute you couldn't get any good beer in the city, and the next minute you had to be choosy.
Yep.
Right on.
Awesome.
So,
I'm gonna go.
okay. Yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah.
You go ahead.
All right. So now's the portion of the time where you have to impress me. I've already actually been kind of impressed that they have somebody doing Czech side pour handles. So I would check that out. Aha. But
damn it.
I got 2 questions, and Greg and Jon, you're both open to answer it. A, who is doing smoked beers or Rausch beers? And B, who has the highest ABV stout?
When it comes to the ABV stout, you got to remember North Carolina has a 15% cap. So we don't have the luxury that you guys up in Kentucky have.
Lightweights.
That's right. Hey, I'm not saying I agree with it.
No. Yeah.
I mean, hell,
We're not
I had to come back to Pennsylvania just to get 120 minutes, just to say I've had it.
Yep.
See, I don't know that the highest stout that I can remember is probably Hillbilly Prophet, that in recent memory.
Okay.
I don't know anybody else that's doing.
I know New Anthem kicked off I can't remember, it was like the Path Less Chosen or something about Path and Fear that was a 12% version. I don't think I've seen a beer greater than maybe 12.9% produced in Wilmington. I've seen Flying Machine do some pastry stouts that'll hit 10, 11, but I don't think somebody's made like a 14.9 just to kind of like screw it, we'll get as close as we can get, but it wasn't memorable because I can't remember it.
Yeah.
And it's not something you could find easily or at all in 2021.
Yeah, I see. I wasn't even aware of your bad rules, but so
we can still buy beer in every grocery store and every gas station, and I mean, hell, we have grocery stores that sell draft beer here. So
do we.
Take that, Pennsylvania. No, do you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Market District Giant Eagle. We get the draft beers now. Yeah. Oh, we're not as far behind the times as we once were.
Oh, cool.
Pennsylvania modernized.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're getting
Yay,
much
we're
better.
back in the 60s. We made it that far.
Feet first.
Is anybody doing any Rauch beer though? Any nice smoky boys? No.
I don't think with any regularity.
Okay.
There's a brewery within an hour drive called shit. I think that's not
that's
a
a
name.
bad
That'd
Terrible
be
name for a brewery.
name.
It's not very
Give
marketable.
me 2 shits, please. There's a brewery out here in Eastern Carolina. I'm convinced it was Hopfly. If you're listening to the show, don't at me and tell me how wrong I am. But I think it was Hopfly over here, and they did a collaboration with Resident Culture in Charlotte, and they made a smoked beer, and then they made another like kind of session smoked beer called Second Runnings that they basically just built with that first run smoked malt. And I had the Second Runnings and it was delicious, but I feel like a useless person because I can't remember the name of the brewery. So you could find one made an hour away from here if that helps, Steve, but not enough. Not with Carolina barbecue as popular as it is. You would think we'd have more.
Yeah, that's why I asked. I figure you guys are smoking shit all the time. It should be, some malts hitting the grill at least. But okay.
I love a good smoked beer, and if I saw one, I would probably buy it nonstop unless it was god awful terrible. I would probably buy it nonstop until they just stopped making it.
No such thing as a bad smoked beer. Doesn't exist. Haven't had one.
No, you have to work. You have to work hard to make it damn shitty.
Yeah.
So I guess are there any events, any beer events, any beer festivals in Wilmington that somebody should kind of plan their trip down there or over there or up there, depending on where they're listening? If they're coming to Wilmington, what sort of beer events should people be looking for to plan their vacations and visits around?
There's probably two that I can think of. I hope I don't steal this one from Greg, but the first one that comes to mind is maybe like about 3 years running. This isn't going to help any of your listeners because I don't remember what it's called. I'm hoping Greg helps me. But what I remember about the event is that it's like an invitation. It's almost like Iron Chef for breweries. There's an invitation, maybe 10 or 15 Wilmington-based breweries. And what'll happen is you'll get like 2 secret ingredients assigned to you. In the past, I've seen like jalapeno and blueberries, or you might get screwed and get like banana and mint, but you get these ingredients at random, and then from there you make whatever beer style you want. And it's this kind of blind taste test that people show up to. You taste the beers at random and you pick your favorite, and through the miracle of science, one of the breweries wins, whoever was able to transform those 2 secret ingredients. Every year I look forward to that event. I can't remember what it's called. A garden party. Greg, can you help me out at all?
I don't remember if it was something like that. I thought it was something like the Cape Fear Brewers competition or somewhere. I thought it had Cape Fear in the name, but I mean, I do know.
I think you nailed it exactly.
Well,
that Cape Fear Brewers something or other with competition in your Google search will point you to it. That's one of my favorite like beer themed events I've ever gone to.
Right on. Yeah, we'll have to do a little research. We'll have to tag the organization on Twitter or something. We'll get this together. We'll figure it out. We will bridge that gap one way or another. Greg, was there any other events, any other brew fest we should be looking out for?
The other beer fest in town that I'm aware of that is a lot of fun is called the Rare and Voracious Beer Fest, and that is held on the USS North Carolina battleship every year. And they have breweries from I know all over the country, and I think they've had some from outside the U.S. come down and bring a lot of very obviously rare beers that you can't necessarily get anywhere outside of a tap room. And it's just they set up all over the battleship, and you're drinking beer at all these tasters. It's absolutely amazing. And it's only like a 3-hour fest, but it's a good time. I mean, you're drinking samples, of course, but I mean, it's a good time.
You could say it's a 3-hour tour.
A 3-hour tour.
Man,
well played.
That sounds awesome. because I would love to be drinking beers on a battleship, but also I've been on a battleship like as a teenager, and I was too tall for it then. So at now, I just could not see myself feeling comfortable.
Well,
just unless I'm on the flight deck only.
Wear a helmet. Yeah.
Well, yeah, the good thing with that now is I don't believe any of it is actually in the battleship. It's all on the battleship. So it's on the upper deck. You're just going onto it and you're enjoying it unless the weather is absolutely god awful and they have to take it under deck. Everything is usually right on the top and in the outside, like, the parking area as you're going onto it. So it's a tourist thing now, of course, but it's not really in it unless the weather is god awful and they have to.
And that weather point, man, I spent my formative years in Buffalo, New York, which is just a terrible place. And it's dark and cold no matter what time it is. But coming to Wilmington, it's like I can drink beer at an outside garden patio in March and it's warm enough to do it in shorts. That still blows my mind. I feel like I don't take a good enough advantage of, like, come to Wilmington in March and April or October and drink outside like it's summertime. Any of you poor bastards that still live up north.
I will give credit where credit is due. One of the best football games I ever went to was a Buffalo Bills game, Steelers Bills, and Bills know how to pregame. Bills fans, they know how to tailgate. They know how to have a good time. So I mean, if you're a drinker in Buffalo, you're a drinker anywhere.
Thank you. And it's because really once the game begins, we're done. We have to get all of our enjoyment ahead of the first snap.
See, I always just figured it's just because you need to have that warm sweater around you for the rest of the game.
The beer blanket.
Yeah, because I've been I went to the original Winter Classic between Buffalo and the Penguins at Bill's Stadium, and fuck did it snow. But yeah.
So I have one last question, and the question is, if you had to choose one beer to represent Wilmington in an American beer city beatdown, what beer would you choose? If you had to bring one beer to face all the other beers in the major beer centers of the world, what beer would you bring? What is your battle bot? Greg, you got your thinking cap on.
Can I ask one qualifying question to that?
Yes, please.
I do. The one qualifying question is: does it have to be a staple beer, or is it just something that has been produced here in Wilmington?
Something that had, I'll say, you know what? Let's make it fun. Both. Two different categories. You get to have a specialty category and a flagship category.
All right. Well, my answers are going to be very, very simple. And since it's a staple, if it's a staple, then we're going to go right back to what we're drinking tonight, and that's Wilmington Brewing Company's Tropical Lightning. I mean, it's probably the town's favorite beer is what it seems like, just for something that's brewed local and has been around forever. If you're talking about something that is not always in production, I have a toss-up. One is either going to be New Anthem's Free Rent, which was a hazy IPA, but to me, it immediately compares to Brew Gentleman's General Braddock's. It's right there. That first sip was an immediate 5 on Untappd. I can't get enough of it. When I see it in the store, I'm going to buy it every single time because I have to have more of that in my life. Other than that, it was a beer that was brewed one single time from Wrightsville Beach Brewing Company. They have a staple beer called Signal Fire, but they infused it with Serrano peppers. And since Serrano is such a mild pepper, they must have put an absolute ass ton of peppers in this because it bit you right there in the back of the throat. And it burned for like an hour, and I love spicy food, so I was totally into it. I took that first pint, and I'm like, oh my God, this is great. I ran to the truck, grabbed my growlers, and said, fill all of these. I need these right now. But yeah, I couldn't decide between those three. Those are the ones. If I ever see that Serrano pepper Signal Fire back on draft, yes, I'm going to get every single growler I own filled, and I will drink that nonstop and call out of work for the next week. Just to drink it fresh.
It sounds to me like Greg doesn't have a gun rack in his truck. He has a growler rack in his truck.
Well, yeah.
Why do you think he's got the extended cab?
Yeah, fair enough. John, what are your choices?
So I think both of these are available pretty regularly, but since I get to pick two now, the beer that I'll pick first that I would put up against any brew competition is going to be New Anthem's New England IPA. They make a bunch, but I'm going to pick Neon God, mainly because I'm an idiot and I have a subjective love for that beer. I had it at my wedding. It was Neon God or Bud Light, and a lot of people got way too drunk because I didn't know what they were getting into. But that beer, it's like so many other New Anthems. But I think like I would be confident to put that up against Weldworks, or Treehouse or Trillium or any of the other kind of big swinging $30 t-shirt breweries in the world. But the beer that I hope Wilmington gets a little bit of representation for is made by Flying Machine, and it's called Weighted Blanket, which just sounds comfortable. It's a nitro mild ale, if I'm not mistaken. Ooh. Effectively, though, it's a craft Boddington. Like it's a nitro. It's a body. You can go in there and you can just crush like 6 or 12 of them, and you can still feel pretty good. I love beers poured on nitro, and that one. The first time I had it, I was like, all right, this is my new favorite beer. I wish I could bring it home in mass. This is amazing. And I would put that beer up against at least the actual Boddington if we were going to England.
So a thick English pub ale that's also served on nitro. I'm into that. I'm down.
So it sounds like we need to start either a Patreon or a GoFundMe or something for both you guys so we could get tanker trucks for you.
Oh, I thought we were starting the GoFundMe to send me down to Wilmington. I need a fucking vacation, bro.
We'll set up multiple.
Trucks are a long-term investment, man. You're going to appreciate that.
And speaking of appreciation, I think it's time we talk about the Hazy Tropical, the second offering from Wilmington Brew Co. that we've had on the show here. Steve, what'd you think?
I'm into it. I'm on and off with these hazies. I tell you what, sometimes they're a little too soft, sometimes they're a little too bland, but this one it has the right amount of flavor to it. It keeps a little bitterness as well, which I appreciate and expect with IPAs. So yeah, it's great. That nose feels very citra forward to me. But the flavor is something else that I can't completely like put together what I'm tasting. And also I just don't have a hop list. So it's hard to figure out what exactly, like how big is the blend? What is the blend? I'll be safe in saying that there's no Sabro in it. I feel like I'm safe.
There's probably no fun in there either.
Yeah, probably no Fuggle, probably no East Kent Golding. But other than that, it's kind of a toss-up. I wouldn't be surprised at, Citra, Mosaic, El Dorado, even a Zaka. But overall, yeah, it does have a more bold flavor than I find with a lot of New England IPAs. And because of that, I enjoy it.
Right on. Greg, the man with the best beer glass in the business. For those watching on the YouTube, Das Boot. Nicely done. What what'd you have to say about the Hazy Tropical?
Yeah, I guess it's all right.
As noted by the empty boot again.
Exactly. Yeah, it's been going for a little while here. No, this is one that when I had it the first time, I had it on draft and I'm like, oh my God, I bought a 4-pack, drank it that night, went back 2 days later. The place still had it. Bought another 4-pack. I mean, it was good. I think I got one left in the fridge after tonight. So
right on.
Obviously, I would drink it again because I have drank it again.
The proof is on the credit card statement.
I mean,
true story.
That's honestly saying a lot in 2021, considering all of the choices that we have. Anything that anybody goes back to, you can definitely tell is like a winner in their book.
Yes, because anymore we're all spoiled. Let's be honest, we're all spoiled.
Yes.
So for me on the Hazy Tropical, no Fuggle, no care. I'm sorry. I love me some Fuggle. Without it, whatever. No, on I like this the more that it warmed up a little bit, which is kind of a weird thing to say. But I thought it got a little bit better as it warmed up. Maybe that's just my own tongue. This again is the type of beer that I would recommend to somebody that enjoys the hazy IPAs. I'm gonna finish this one. Don't you worry about that. But again, this isn't quite up my alley, and that's okay. I've made peace with that. I know I'm the outlier when it comes to the IPAs, but this is definitely the type of beer that I would recommend that does enjoy these type of beers.
Again, within the rules of this show, Greg and I both like it, and Adam doesn't, so it's a good drinker. John, please commiserate with Adam with your giant stout that you both
Tell me about
enjoy.
your rocket fuel.
There's probably Fuggles in here.
Yes.
Probably roasted malt. I can almost guarantee that. So stouts, I would almost like, don't roll your eyes, but like microwave them for a minute. I want my stouts like hand warmed. I want to pour them an hour before I drink them. And now that this is starting to get up to temperature, it tastes like chocolate liqueur, it tastes like chocolate and brandy or bourbon in your mouth.
Hell
And
yeah.
seriously, how is that wrong?
It's not.
Thank you.
Yeah, you don't have to convince us.
I'm sorry, John. Have you not seen our shirt that says all weather is stout weather? Because if you haven't, feel free to buy one and
Can I
wear
find
it
it on
around.
TeePublic?
Yeah, find that on.
Yes.
But you can wear that around Wilmington. I'm sure it applies even more when the weather doesn't suck.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much IPAs on the shelf. It's got to be 60% of all craft beer that's made, even though 90% of all beer that's sold might be American light lager. Like IPAs, that's if you started drinking craft beer this year, last year, you only know New England hazies. And that's cool. It's an easy beer to get introduced to. If you started drinking Victory's Dirt Wolf, you probably hated it. But stouts are amazing. You're right. It's stout weather. It's stout weather in March. It's July. Go inside and drink a stout. It's the best tasting beer you can get. This is coming from a guy that loves brownies, but stouts are underappreciated in the beer world. Followed by porters, followed by browns, followed by Rausch beers. End of rant.
Yeah, we would agree. I mean, Pittsburgh is kind of known as like, I guess, Browns would be kind of our city's beer. Like I've heard it a number of times, because you start with Festivus by Full Pint, but then also we have Allegheny City Brewing, and their brown ale is probably one of the best I've ever had, the Deutschtown Brown. And we're very much, I think we're known for our brown ales, even though again they're hard and rare to find, but we do them good.
Yes. What do you say we take a quick break, reload, get paid again? We're not getting paid.
Nope.
Get another beer up here.
Yes.
Segment 3. Have a little fun.
Hell yes.
All right, we will be right back. Welcome back, everybody. This is, of course, still the Hop Nation USA podcast. We have Greg, we have John. They haven't run away. We haven't chased them off. Thank goodness. We have behaved well enough that they're willing to come back for a third segment. Steve's here too, but he's a cybernetic head, so he can't go anywhere.
That's right.
So
We're
here.
all still drinking socially. Aha.
Aha. Nailed it. So we're talking Wilmington beers. We've been drinking beers from Wilmington Brewing Company, and it's time for us to have our third tropical variant. And this is going to be their Tropical Frightening. And this is where we start getting into the high ABVs. That was all Tinker Toy stuff beforehand, but now we're getting a little bit higher. And this is their Imperial IPA. It is brewed with blood orange and raspberry, and it comes in at a rather pedestrian 10% ABV. This is a good old-fashioned tailgate and walking around beer. Steve, why don't you put some pictures up?
Yeah, I got that.
It's a good-looking beer. It's got a nice reddish, orangish hue to it. A little bit different from what we were drinking before, which was obviously not that color. I blame the blood orange and the raspberry for that.
Oh, wow. You got it.
But drinking it, yeah, this will get you where you need to go. It's not very forward with the blood orange and particularly the raspberry. You have to really look for the raspberry to try to find it. But overall, it's for those that enjoy the Imperial IPAs, it's definitely a good beer. And if you drink enough of them, you're going to like it no matter what. It's just going to be a good beer. I'm starting to warm up to it a little bit. I started drinking a little bit before we started recording. I think this is going to be a good one. Steve, thoughts?
Yeah, so it's interesting that they chose to go with Imperial IPA as like the branding and not, double IPA or anything like that. I'm not sure, why people choose to do it that way, but whatever. That's their thing. The beer itself, though, I really enjoy it because holy shit, it is blast off juice, but it's incredibly drinkable for being as big as it is. I think the blood orange is what is helping maintain some of its bitterness, and you get a lot of that bitterness up front, but the raspberry comes through on the back end. And yeah, it is. It was mentioned, in the last segment about Wilmington Brewing Company being like the second brewery to open, and how the owners kind of had their hands in helping every other brewer cut their teeth. And I understand why now, because every beer we've had tonight is incredibly drinkable, but also very different in every way. So yeah, I'm into this one, and I would hope to look forward to more. I know I have more in my fridge. Maybe I'll tell you about them later.
I think the bigger hope we need to look for here is to have them come up to Pennsylvania, get some distro up here in the Keystone State.
Or GoFundMe down to Wilmington. We can still do that.
That's true too. That's true.
I'm being
too.
selfish. I don't care.
It's all about Steve at this point.
That's right.
Greg, have you had this beer before? Have you had the Tropical Frightening?
I have, because out of their entire series of this tropical beer, Tropical Lightning Week, the Tropical Frightening, to the best of my knowledge, is the only one that was released prior to this event. And it came out, I want to say it was Halloween time, either 2020 or 2019. And it was really good then. I remember one of my local bottle shops that has been shouted out on John and Harrison's Drinking Socially podcast before, which is Session Beer Market on that one. I happened to see they posted it, that they had just put it on draft, and I was getting out of work. I'm like, hey, let's go get a beer. Go up there and I get one and I taste it. I'm like, wow, I'm going to get a crowler when I leave. And before I even finished that beer, it was already sold out. I mean, it went that fast. So I'm like, okay, this is no joke. People are seeking this beer out, and this is only the second time it's ever come around.
I'm glad we were lucky enough to get a hold of it this time.
Yeah, no joke.
Yeah, this beer is no joke. That's for sure.
Yeah.
John, have you had a chance to try the Tropical Frightening? Have you been able to get your hands on it?
I have. I've had the Tropical Frightening in its first iteration when Greg was talking about when they put it out around Halloween. And it, like, I'm a nerd. I'm not a dad, but I feel like I should have been. The Tropical Frightening rhymes with Tropical Lightning, which is Wilmington. Any bar you go to in Wilmington, they have a Tropical Lightning tap, even if it's like a Bud Miller Coors bar. And so when I saw Frightening came out with the 10%, I was sold. I didn't even care about the raspberry or blood orange. I was just happy to see like a different variant of Tropical Lightning. I thought that was really cool. And the beer itself, 10% is greater than 7%. So I think by some mathematical property, this beer is also greater.
Yeah, that math checks. Math checks. So unfortunately, you were not able to have one in front of you, but what beer do you have for this segment?
Yeah, so we talked a lot about Wilmington on this show, and I love you guys for highlighting Wilmington. There's more beer here to drink than any one person could handle in one day. I'll back you up on that. But I went to Western North Carolina for Burial Brewery. I'm drinking their Spectacle of the Mild, and in a very like eye roll move, I went from 10% to this is 3.9%. It's I think a proper tribute to an English mild. It's dark. It tastes like light chocolate. it's like the stout flavor for when you're mowing the yard. And for me, that's perfection. If every beer was an English mild, I would be happy with that. I would have punched myself for saying that 3 years ago, though. So age is also a really important ingredient in your beer choice.
So this sounds like the type of beer that would be perfect for the first time you cut your grass in Buffalo, where it's like 42 degrees out, but it's still knee high.
Yeah. Totally. Very accurate. It never gets warm enough in Buffalo to really enjoy a Pilsner.
That's awesome. I unfortunately, it's not a beer though. According to Steve's rules of beer, it's not a beer.
That's a fact. Anything under 4%, not a beer. It's just,
Is it a session beer to play on marketing?
It's a multi kombucha.
An Imperial Booch.
Yeah,
I'm down
exactly.
for that. There's a story in history where knights drank a beer like a 3.9% before they even knew what abs were.
Oh, for sure.
They were just like, they would drink one because water killed them. And then the coolest knight, he would drink 20 and he would kill everyone else because he was drunk. I suppose we just figured out evolution. Sorry, go on.
You still get a pass considering what you had in segment 2.
Yeah.
We're taking the average and you're still okay.
Yeah, you still had the tenor in 2, but I mean, John's right on his history that, basically everybody, including children, drank, 3.9s, throughout the day because water would kill you. And just because yeast wasn't fucking effective back then. So like that's all you wound up with, unless you were making wine or mead. You really had to go for the gusto in the olden days.
So we'll still let you we'll let you stay on the show just this once. It'll be okay.
Thank you. If only I would have known, I would have dumped some bourbon in there.
I mean, the show's not over yet, so if you got some at arm's length.
He got his hazing, so he's good. It's fine.
Yes. So now it's time to have ourselves a little bit more fun. This is the segment that we usually play a little bit of a game with our guests, and this episode is no different. We're bringing back a classic game we have not played in quite some time. I'm happy to bring it back. This is a game that we like to call Craft or Crap. What we do is we will pull a description from Untappd, and the contestant has to guess whether that beer is craft or if it's crap. Very simple game.
Yes. For anybody who's been on Untappd or been in a Facebook group criticizing Untappd, and it's more about the users of Untappd who will go on and they'll drink a Saison and rate it 2 stars and say, it's not my style. Well, then don't rate it 2 stars. That's rude.
Yes. And I must put this disclaimer on there. This is the opinion of the users. It is not the opinion of the hosts or the guests.
Definitely not, because we've definitely featured in past games someone giving Lone Star a 5-star review.
Yes. So
tastes like Texas.
Yeah, exactly. John, word for fucking word.
I'm sad I got that right.
So this is
you're
just
gonna do amazing in this game.
We already may as well just send him the trophy now.
Yeah, he is a ringer. I mean, shit.
Yeah.
I've seen a few reviews. None of them good.
In that case, John, we'll start you off. We'll just throw you in the deep end of the pool. You've got number 1 on the list. The comment was, the maker of this beer should be crucified. This is proof God no longer loves us. 0.25 out of 5. Is that a craft beer or is that a crap beer?
That is definitively a craft beer, because the reviewer was pissed they just paid $7 for a beer they didn't understand. I would wager that it's probably a West Coast IPA.
And that wager is wrong. That is actually a review of Beer 30 Light. If you've never heard of Beer 30, good for you.
You didn't have any fun in college.
No. No, that was provided by John M. I don't know last names, but that John M. apparently did not appreciate 30 Beer Light by Melanie Brewing Company.
As an addendum, can we add that to my rating of Red Hot Iron?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm
The
sorry,
Iron
Iron City, but
Cinnamon
that
beer.
was hot garbage.
Yeah, the Iron City cinnamon beer. Let's just
Ooh.
add that in as proof that God does not love us.
So, Steve, I'll give you the next one.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. John B states equal to a Bourbon County, 4.75 out of 5.
Ooh, I mean, equal to a Bourbon County. Is this user dumb enough to say Guinness? Because that's, when we're saying crap, we don't necessarily mean crap. We usually mean macro. That's the coded words. But
Yes.
is this user dumb enough to say Guinness is on par with Bourbon County? And I love Guinness. Man, I want a fucking Guinness right now.
Stay on point here.
I'm on task. It's got to be a craft review. He's got to be like comparing Epic or Founders or something else to. Yeah, it's got to be craft.
Steve, I hate to say this, but it is a crap beer.
Damn it!
son of a-
What beer? This dumb.
So John B gave 4.75 out of 5, comparing a Bud Light Lime to
Son of a
Bourbon-
bitch. No.
John
I
B.
do. I love the Bourbon County with Lime edition, but
That is.
I think I just threw up in my mouth a little bit.
Oh, you got some free Bud Light Lime. Congratulations.
John B.'s parents were related before they were married.
I can neither confirm nor deny that this listing came
Alabama.
from West Virginia. Alabama.
oh, that's
So unfortunately,
hard.
we are this is turning into a bagel shop right now. So Greg, you got to pull us out of the dregs here.
Sure.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. John, there's an awful lot of Johns on this app. I'll say that. John states, what's this? 3 weeks old? Bullshit. 4.75 out of 5.
Well, that could be absolutely anything. So I'm not going to guess styles or brewery, but I'm going to say it's craft.
Greg is on the board.
Had to be an IPA. It's an IPA. isn't it?
Probably. Yeah, 3 weeks. Yeah, it's ancient at that point.
Yes, that is actually the Pliny the Younger by Russian River was that review.
Wow.
That's on everybody's whale list. That's
Yes.
a unicorn for all of us on the East Coast.
If I got paid $1 for every whale emoticon that I saw while going through Untappd, going through this listing, we would be doing this show in our own auditorium.
As featured on season 3 of Drinking Socially,
Yes.
episode
Ooh.
6.
And that is not a knock on Russian River or Pliny the Younger or
Oh
anything like
God,
that.
no, definitely not.
Wasn't my review. Is it like a super hype haze craze, the beer that everybody wants right now? No, but is it one of the best West Coast? In my opinion, sure. Yeah, as long as you get it less than 3 weeks old, of course.
Apparently,
After that.
apparently that,
Yeah,
that
it's
is
gotta
the
be less
limit.
than 3.
That's the cutoff. 20
Just
days.
Walk
is the
into the
cutoff.
river and drown yourself if
That's right.
it's beyond 3 weeks old.
22 days, you may as well just water your plants with it.
After you waited in line for 14 hours.
Or
John,
won
are
a
you-
lottery this year, I think.
Yeah.
John, are you ready for your redemption round?
I can't do any worse than I did in round 1, so I'm excited that I've got no bar to meet.
Excellent, excellent. So this comes from Thomas, and Thomas states, Nectar of the Gods, 2.5 out of 5.
God damn it.
What's better than Nectar of the Gods, Thomas? Adjust your rating scale. Jesus. Met a girl on Tinder. Best thing that ever happened to me. She gave me her Ferrari and a night I'll never forget. 1 out of 5.
Got a handy jammer at a TJ Maxx. 3 out of 5.
Super on point, full circle. So Nectar of the Gods, which makes me think of not Bud Light Lime, but Bud Light Platinum, where they pump so much God juice into it. Is a tangential point. Is someone like Platform or Lagunitas, are they technically on the crap side because of their huge distribution network or parents?
I avoided them completely so that we didn't have to worry about that.
Even better. I'm going to say that this is a craft beer because it's a craft beer drinker. Not all of them, but it's a very boisterous craft beer drinker that assumes a Nectar of the Gods is only middle of the road, 2.5. So that's why I'm inclined to believe this is a craft beer review, and I hope to God that I'm right. Nectar of the Gods, bless me.
Your gods have forsaken you.
Damn it.
This is a review of a crap beer of American Light.
That sucks.
American Light is the beer you find at the fair on your way out the door. I didn't even know that was... Who the hell checks that in?
Apparently Thomas does.
Adam, I'm pretty sure both you and I have checked it in as well, and it's like 1 star on ours.
Yes,
if
yes.
not lower.
I will disclose I have drank this beer in the past.
Yeah,
just enough to know not to drink it again.
Yeah,
oh,
like they pay you.
I'll
to
give you that.
So I'm sorry, John, but you are still in the bagel shop.
Okay. Well, I feel like I'm from Buffalo. That's for sure.
Well, would you rather I say that you just have yourself a garbage plate worth of points then?
Yeah. Nick Toes!
Greg, you get to wait because Steve gets to go next. Steve, are you ready for
yours?
Yeah.
Okay. Willie M says, the best real statement for what's inside this beauty. Better than remembered. Drinking these used to be like drinking glue. They so thick. 1.75 out of 5.
That it's got to be craft because like there was nothing thick pre 2015, right?
You tell me.
I think, but don't listen to me.
I mean, yeah, like the only things that would be thick like pre 2015 would have been some heavy fucking stouts. Yeah, I gotta go craft.
I'm sorry, but your gods have also forsaken you.
I have no gods. We know this.
Okay, well, your stimmy check has forsaken you.
No! Grandpap Joe.
Don't worry, it's coming. It's coming.
William was reviewing Milwaukee's best ice.
The beast is not thick. The beast is not
so thick.
This is bullshit.
Maybe it was really warm or he added cornstarch to it. Did they do like a double dry cornstarch to Milwaukee's Light?
Did he add cornstarch to make a slurry of Milwaukee Light?
Just like my dad used to give him to, I don't know.
It's the beast.
Was he just drinking like batter for deep frying fishes? Is that what it was?
Just got his containers mixed up?
Yeah.
Man, I hope so. Oh. All right, Greg, are you ready for your second round?
Sure, what the hell?
The only man with points. Chris S. states, has a hop profile which reminds me too much of oxidation. Props for not making me taste any alcohol, though. 3.1 out of 5.
Well, if you didn't taste any alcohol, it has to be crap. I'm going to say it's crap.
The gods have forsaken us all.
Ugh.
That is a review of Trillium's Heavy Metal.
Wow.
A double IPA, which has an average Untappd score of 4.43.
Trillium getting screwed on this one.
Apparently, Trillium is some bottom shelf shit that sits right next to the Mickeys.
Shelfies.
Mickey's on one side,
grenades
Four Loko on the other.
Man, you guys are terrible at this.
Yep. I guess we just don't know Untappd users.
I probably should, but apparently I don't. Now there's two types of everything, right? Two types of coffee, cold and hot, two types of Untappd users. People that think Bud Light is the same as Bourbon County, and then there's the other type of Untappd user, which is a normal human being.
A person with an objective palate.
Yeah.
See, but that's the fun of being able to cherry pick these things.
Right.
You get to find both extremes. So this is the last question, and this is going to be a land rush question. First person to answer correctly gets to have the opportunity to get double points if they're able to tell me the state in which this beer was brewed in.
Ooh.
You don't have to tell me the brewery. You just have to tell me the state that it was brewed in. So the first person to answer correctly, whether it was craft or crap, gets a point. And then they have the opportunity to tell me what state it was brewed in for an extra point. Kim T says, had to check it in again while I had better light than just a fire. The consistency is definitely Jell-O. Definitely had to drink out of a glass. Not as bad as expected. Would drink again. 4.25 out of 5.
Craft.
Oh, Greg has got it. He's calling it craft, and that is correct.
I thought we had to say buzz or something.
And for that, you lose, Steve.
For a bonus point, what state was this brewed in?
I can't pinpoint one. It has to be one of two. It's either the state of confusion or the state of inebriation. That's my guesses.
Unfortunately, those are both incorrect.
Was it Texas?
It was Texas, yes.
Damn.
So, John and Steve, I'll give you the opportunity. Are you able to say which brewery? We'll get you down that far. Which brewery brewed this beer?
Was it Martin House?
It was not Martin House. So, John, you are the last one standing.
No, Martin House didn't do the Jell-O beer. Fuck. Who? Oh.
Steve, that was an amazing guess with Martin House. As soon as you said Texas, that's where my head went. I know someone made a Jell-O beer. Someone also made like a cranberry sauce beer, and I can't remember who brewed those because let's be honest, my memory sucks. So now I'm just trying to think of a Texas brewery, and that's not going to do me.
3 seconds.
John, it's honestly down the fucking road, and I can't remember the name of it. We've talked about it.
I don't know. Greg looks like he wants to go for triple points.
I know it wasn't Jester King. I want to guess if John doesn't get it. I want to guess.
But I'll guess Jester King just so that I can say they're the best brewery in Texas.
You can say that, but they did not brew this beer. Greg, an opportunity.
I was going to guess Jester King.
No. I thought you were going to go yard on these chumps.
It wasn't Armadillo something or other, was it?
So the brewery was Armadillo Ale Works.
God damn it.
Wow, Steve, props, man.
And that was their Ghoul Drool.
My 10%'s all gone, so my fucking brain went shitty on me. Yeah.
So, Greg, congratulations. You are the champion when it comes to craft or crap.
with a whole 1 point, huh?
The whole one. Hey, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Your goalie pitched a shutout.
You did it.
Yay.
You won.
Yay.
So here's the thing. There's only, as far as I know, there's only been 2 of those Jello beers that have really hit the mainstream that people have known about. One was that Ghoul Drool from Texas. The other is Canada. So that's not a state. That's a province.
That's true.
So that's why I didn't say, that's why I said Texas.
Nicely done. Nicely done. So that is how you play craft or crap. Thank you to all our participants. Your consolation prizes is what was in your glass. So thank you for playing.
Thank you.
And speaking of what was in our glass, our tropical frightening round. Oh boy, this will get you where you need to go. That's for sure. Yeah. This is going to be a tough day at work tomorrow. That's for sure.
Hells yes.
I like where this beer is going. I like what they're doing with it. If I had an extra day tomorrow, I'd probably drink another one. I'll be honest.
Yeah. As far as I know, like blood orange IPAs, we've had a couple of them on the show before. And I don't always love them because they honestly make IPAs a little too bitter. They taste too much like grapefruit, and I don't love grapefruit in the wild on its own. But yeah, the raspberry balances out pretty well, and then also being 10%, it obviously has a higher grain bill. So all of those in conjunction make this like incredibly drinkable, but also incredibly dangerous. So hell yeah, Wilmington Tropical Frightening. I'm into it.
Greg, thoughts?
I don't want to get too overly technical on the beer aspect of it, so I'm just going to try to dumb it down for people like myself. It's good and shit, and I would drink it again.
And after 3 beers worth, I appreciate the simplicity.
It's good and shit.
It's good and shit.
Greg, you have definitely moved into North Carolina pretty well.
I've been here for a third of my life now, so yeah, this is home. Damn it, this is home, y'all.
Hey, John, Yin's guys got a review of what she's drinking from Burial and that?
Nah, that Yin's is too Pennsylvania, man. Get your Primanti brothers out of here. It tastes a lot like a Bud Light lime because I'm kidding. It's still good. It tastes like in one phrase, a responsible campfire. Less smoky though. Sorry, Steve, but it's fucking delicious.
That's fine.
And I'm sad that it's almost over, but I love the 16-ounce cans for these low ABV dad beers. If you'll let me imbibe on this responsible, I have an early day tomorrow pounder.
Sure. You know, you've got your Imperial booch and you've got to get up early for your big corporate job. So yeah, I get it. It's fine. But I mean, hey, never can go wrong with Burial can art. Those are pretty dope.
Some of the best in the business.
If you can hold that up to the camera, I mean, you know, we do love those. Yes.
Let's see if we can.
That is one sexy can.
It's just a Ram, which almost made me think I was going to pick up a double Bach, but Burial's one of the guys that I follow on Instagram. Of the very few people I follow is David Paul Seymour, and he does all the artwork for Burial. Yeah. And you can also buy T-shirts from him or occasionally comic books if you're like. The dude's brilliant. D&D, beer, and cool drawings of things that should be dead. Awesome guy.
Yeah, we've talked about him before. Like we did a can art episode, and yeah, that he's on top of the list. With Ralph Steadman, who does Flying Dog. Obviously a legend as well. But yeah, Burial great, beer's great, art's great. So yeah, that's all I gotta say.
I think that's time to get us into our wrap ups. John, any plugs? Who do you want to talk about? Let's talk about the podcast. Where can we find Drinking Socially? How do we get there? Episode 9 of season 4. How do we get there?
Drinking Socially, Untappd's official podcast, is available all the places that podcasts are available. Hit the like or subscribe button so I can sound like everybody else on the internet. But we do YouTube, we do Spotify's and all that stuff. Like, it's free. It's a podcast. If you want to talk about beer and you want to learn about maybe a particular Untappd badge, one of the ones I'm most proud of is that we featured New Brew Thursday, which Greg is now an expert at, and how you get it and how ridiculously complicated that badge is. So check it out, search for it on your Google machine. And if you're into all the social medias, you can usually find me in most places. My handle is Drinking with Jon. It's Jon. I didn't get an H. My parents couldn't afford one.
I'll honestly say also, like, there is some good style information as well within your guys' podcast. Is like, if you go back into the catalog a little bit, maybe season 3, season 2, you guys have some good information as far as like styles go. So yeah, check that out as
Thanks,
well.
Steve. Harrison's a big beer nerd. We did a whole BJCP guideline that I think you might be the only person that ever listened to or cared about, like how a Saison is ever so slightly different than a farmhouse ale. It's more of a history lesson, but thank you so much, man. That means a lot. I'm grateful that someone listened and actually cared about that.
Yeah, you're not just yelling into the void. People are listening.
As Adam and I are both terrible home brewers, we still also like to learn about styles and how to make them, worse.
Greg, thank you for coming on the show. Anything you want to plug? Any charities? Anything like that? Anything we should look out for?
Other than the fact that I want to say to both Adam, Steve, to all Adam, Steve, and Jon, is that I am an avid listener of both of y'all's podcasts, and I'm waiting for the newest episodes to arrive, and we'll go from there. Since
awesome.
Since I can't really talk about my stage name because I'm on camera right now, so we'll just leave it at that.
You can just DM us your OnlyFans account later on. We can put that out on Twitter.
Hopefully this hasn't thrown you into turmoil waiting for the podcast that you're on. Thursday
I think I could figure out the outcome.
Okay. Yeah, just hopefully Thursday isn't an existential crisis for you.
Yes.
All right. And if you want to find us on social media, all you have to do is search Hob Nation USA, and that'll get you Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And if you want to listen to brand new episodes of the Hob Nation USA podcast every Friday, as you should, then search Hob Nation USA in your favorite podcatcher like Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, anything that starts with pod and ends with cast. We're on all of those platforms. But feel free to leave us a 5-star review because
we are a 6 tropical variant show, but they only let us use 5.
And that's a bigger crime than me not being able to bring on the other 3 Wilmington beers I have sitting in my fridge. And one of them is a Tippa. Boy, oh boy, I'm getting tuned up when I edit this episode. You just heard something from the past in the future.
Thank you for tearing, time-space continuum apart, Steve. I appreciate that.
Yes. Can do. Thanks again, though, for Greg and Jon for coming on, obviously, and educating us on the Wilmington beer scene.
Yes. Go there, drink their beer, don't gum up their traffic, enjoy their beers. Please and thank you.
Our traffic sucks enough anyway.
That's what yins get for being beach people.
Oh, this is y'all country now.
According to my Zoom, the top half is yins and the bottom half is y'all.
True story. True story.
And we don't talk about the Ewins, people.
Nah, they're obsolete.
They're obsolete. So thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. We'll be back next week with a very special episode of us drinking beer and talking about it.
Indeed.
We'll see you then, and you'll hear us then. Bye.